Hello everyone, welcome back to Blake's Den. This is my 1996 Land Rover Defender 300 TDI, which is a bit of a new project for me. So since I last updated this, updated you on this, I fitted a canvas back to it. Turns out this is a Land Rover Series 3 canvas back, but it just about fits. You can see the tie down points are obviously in a different position, but sort of does the job of stopping the back filling up with rain. There is a bit of a gap around here because I haven't got the, like, as an extended channel, but yeah, I don't think that looks too bad. But that's not why we're here. Why we're here is I'm going to have a look at the glow plugs. So the glow plugs aren't working. There's no glow plug light comes up on the dashboard. So I'm going to investigate what's going on in here. So this is the glow plug relay, and I've just pulled the wire off the bottom. First thing I was doing, I was just checking to see if there was any corrosion on the contacts, of which is none. So now I'm going to probe the contacts and see if we have the power going to the right places. So with a little bit of help from a wiring diagram, you can see that we've got power in, go through some fuses, blah blah blah. Goes to the unit timer glow plug, which is what that relay is. So there should be a brown wire going in, which is a bit permanent live, and then there should be a black wire going out, which will be the earth. I'm going to jump to those straight away because I suspect it's either the earth or the power supply, which is the problem. That power supply goes through a 60 amp fuse, so I shall also check that in the engine bay. So I've got the multimeter in continuity mode, and then I'm just going to test the fuses. Fuses are just under a little cover under here. So we'll test the 60 amp fuses. So that's fine. Continuity. So I know that those fuses are fine and nothing's blown. So the next thing I'll do, I'll probe that brown wire and see if we've got 12 volts on it. So plug the multimeter probe into the brown wire. It's quite a large, thick brown wire. So looking at the multimeter, if I just then go and pick an earth point on the body, so we've got, you know, good 12.5 volts there. So I know that the relay is getting the sort of the heavy duty feed, which needs to go to the glow plugs. So now I'm going to check that it's got the earth completing the circuit. So what I've done here is I've just plugged the red lead into where the black lead is, which is the earth. And then in continuity mode, if we touch something metallic in the engine bay, it should. There we are. So we know we've got earth, we know we've got 12 volts in, we know we've got an earth going out, so the problem must actually be on the switch side, i.e. the ignition switch. Next test is very similar. Got the voltage mode. I've got the probe into the white lead, so that is from the ignition. So now if I touch this to earth on the body again, I should get 12 volts. So that's with the ignition on. So I know that the trigger to the relay is working. So yeah, these earths on here aren't great, but yeah, we know that's fine. So now I'll check the opposite side of that circuit, so the earth on that 12 volt feed from the ignition switch. The earth for the trigger side of a relay is the same as the feed side of a relay, so we know that's fine. The next thing I want to check is there's two wires, there's a yellow and a black, and confusingly a black and a yellow wire. Because the large one goes to the glow plugs, which is what it plugs into at the moment. So again, if I go to earth, so we know we've got continuity of the glow plugs. The other one is to the fuse unit, not fuse unit, instrument panel. So if I plug into that one, then go to continuity. I'm getting it, but it's a quite high continuity, that's sort of 26 ohms resistance. Just kill the beep. That feels a little high to me, considering it's only gone through the instrument warning binnacle. So I'm going to investigate that now. So I'm now inside and I've just removed the instrument panel. Tested all the yellow wires, they're all fine. There was still that high resistance, but thinking about it, I think it's just the bulb. It's also worth adding that I've checked the bulbs and it's not a blown bulb, and I've also checked the fuses and the fuses are all fine as well. So I've done the simple things first. So based upon all of that, I think it's now the relay which has failed. So I'm going to remove the relay and then bench test it. Back in the relative safety of the garage now. This is the relay off, and you can see it's date marked 24th of January 1996, which corresponds with my model, which is March 96. So it's time to record, and this is 25 years old, so it could be the case that this is expired. Now, looking at this diagram I just found on the internet, just like any relay, this is your sort of the low current feed in, which energizes the coil, which pulls the switch up. So across those pins, I should have continuity. So it's that way around. So across the two smaller pins here, when it focuses, we should have continuity. So let's test that. So with the leads on the jumper pack, if I go and probe that now, can you hear the relay click? So that suggests it's working. So let's further test that. So what I've done now, it's the same setup, except I've got the multimeter connected up to the circuit which gets energized. So when we do that, so that's all working now. So it suggests the relay is fine. Was it just dirt? Oh, stop doing it now. Interesting. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean up these contacts and put it back in and see what happens. Just stopped for lunch there, went in the house, and literally as soon as I went in the house, power went off. So I've come back out. So what I'm just doing a final sanity check here. I've got the ignition turned on. I've got my jump leads, or my test leads, going into the relay, and then I'm just testing it to hear if I can hear a click. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that is definitely clicking, so I'm happy that the relay is working. So I think the next thing I want to do is actually test between the relay and the actual glow plugs themselves. So in this test now, I'm seeing if there's voltage going to the last glow plug, the one nearest the fan end of the engine. So if I turn the ignition on, there we are, we've got 11 and a bit volts to the glow plugs, and then the relay the timer should click and that should go off. There we are. So that all seems to be working. So actually I think my problem is at the dashboard. It's now quite a few days later and it wasn't making any sense to me, this. So I spent a bit longer looking at the wiring and just probing the plugs a bit more. And then all of a sudden, if I go to start it, glow plug light comes on. So what was the problem? So this is the reverse of the wiring plug. And you can see the black and yellow wires all do for glow plugs. And basically, I think the connector wasn't quite seated right. And it was just a case of having to push that in, and it suddenly made the contact and worked. So when I was probing it from behind with the multimeter, I was getting the voltage to the light because the cable was getting the voltage. It was actually the pins in the plug which weren't getting it. Very confusing. So I think what has happened was the glow plugs were working all the time, just the light wasn't. So right, let's put it all back together and do a final check. All back together, final check. There we are, glow plug lights on and going off. So I think what's actually happened is the glow plugs have been working all the time. It's just the light hasn't been working. I also got the handbrake warning working as well, or the parking brake. That was just a simple case of a wire had come off at the handbrake end, so reconnected that. Well, I hope you found that useful. I certainly found it useful doing that diagnostic testing myself and trying to understand how the wiring works, and it's normally always something simple. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and you'll see more videos of this Defender coming up on my channel soon. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.